All right. Good afternoon. This is Dean Adelano, and this is the number 2 in the series of Kundalini-Avatar-Evolution. So this is number 2. What I'm wanting to do here and to help you is to connect up, because the Avatar movie, of course, has become such a blockbuster all over the world, but it has a very, very important message. The message, of course, in the Avatar movie is a return back to Earth, a return back to natural. As in the movie, as the shaman says, we'll see if we can bring you sane. Kundalini is a process, an evolutionary process. Better said, it really is a tool of evolution. It uses the Kundalini, or it uses that energy in that sense, to bring us back into a unified field of understanding, a unified field of being, a unified field of expression. In other words, we're not only in our heads or in our imagination or just in our intellect do we have a sense that everything is one, but literally we have that experience within us as a solid base of knowing. In other words, just like, you know, you have a hand, or you have a foot, you have eyes, ears, nose, so on, you know that it's really all one. Now, when we think about that, we begin to understand that when we understand that it's really all one, then we don't do things that harm the one because we happen to be part of it. In other words, our sense of morality, so to speak, our sense of justice, our sense of caring for the earth, for each other, comes out of that knowledge. It comes out of our basis of oneness. Whereas now, for the most part, a large part of humanity functions in separateness. It functions with a sense of I-ness and you-ness. There's you and there's I. You're Catholic and I'm Greek. You know, you get the idea. Is that we separate ourselves by our religious beliefs, by our cultural beliefs, by our race beliefs, and so on, where in fact all of that is just stuff. That's head stuff. That's ideas, that's beliefs, but it really has nothing to do with the reality of things. So Kundalini then, in that sense, is a bringing back to the reality of oneness. That reality which is existent no matter what we believe or what we may think. That process is always there. Now, by the end of this video, I am going to give you what I believe from my experience and from these insights that I've had, particularly recently, what is the main part that goes on in individuals that causes this process of Kundalini, in other words, the opening of this energy to be not just dynamic, but sometimes incredibly almost repulsive in the sense that it becomes chaotic. That people are not just sleeping a lot, they're going, what they feel oftentimes is crazy, going through a lot of anxiety, going through a lot of fear, and so forth. I believe that there is a primary reason for it. I'm not going to say that this is the only thing that is taking place, but it is the major belief structure within us that causes all of. All right, let's for a moment talk about the power of a symbol. Because symbols are not only something that we identify something particular with, but there is also emotion and feeling and fear or joy or whatever that goes with a particular symbol. The cross, Christianity. Now, if you're a Christian, then there's all sorts of feelings and attitudes and so on that go along with that symbol. It's not just isolated in itself. The Coke is another symbol. You know, the 2 C's, so on. Things go better with Coke. That's another one. The peace symbol is another one. That brings up all sorts of feelings and ideas and motivations and so forth, that kind of thing, all right? That's another symbol. The swastika that was used by Hitler and we think of what took place in Auschwitz and all the terrible, awful things that took part during that particular time period. Right? So it doesn't bring up just the symbol, it brings up feelings, it brings up emotions, it brings up attitudes. All right. We're working toward what I was talking about a little bit earlier. What is the main symbol of Kundalini? The main symbol of Kundalini is a snake. Well, the snake in Eastern culture has a whole different variety of beliefs and attitudes and feelings in comparison to this culture over here in the United States, or Western cultures in general, in that sense, all right? The snake was revered, particularly like in many Aboriginal types of cultures, American Indian, for instance. The snake was thought of as an earth creature with great wisdom and so on. In our culture, though, we think of the snake as something evil, something that ought to be killed, destroyed. In fact, we have cities around the countries that at one time did destroy a large amount of rattlesnakes, and all of a sudden they were over-infested with rodents and so forth, all right? So we have that snake is the devil, Garden of Eden, the snake is evil, the snake is a tempter, and so forth. So that symbol is attached then to snake, and snake is attached to Kundalini. The truth is, though, is that the snake and Kundalini really have nothing to do with each other. In Eastern symbology, the snake was simply a metaphor for something that was coiled and was going to rise up the spine. The snake in that sense was symbolic of energy, but the snake is also symbolic of sexuality, right? So if we have all kinds of fears, which most people do in this country to varying degrees, if you think that's BS, listen, we are living in a country where the larger part of women would rather go shopping than have sex. In other words, sexuality is not really high on their list in that sense in comparison to shopping and buying and so forth. Now, if we don't perceive that there's something really odd about that, then we're not looking very closely. We're not seeing very clearly in that sense. Human sexuality is energetic. Human sexuality is excitement, but human sexuality is also energy. It's emotion, it is feeling, it is energy in motion, energy going, energy flowing, energy moving, and so forth. Our beliefs about sexuality, and particularly the fears that we have put on human sexuality, make the Kundalini process very difficult. Yes, this is what I'm saying. It is mainly of a human being's sexual belief structures that they have about sexuality that cause a lot of the chaoticness that goes on in the Kundalini process. So if you will begin to unhook in your belief structures, examine them carefully, and unhook all the sexual attitudes and beliefs that sex is wrong, is bad, is evil, is fearful, and so on, from your belief structure, you will indeed find that Kundalini process will become easy. You can pull up my book, which is on a website called coolsandhealing.com. Now you can see the snake right there in the front of it, now that I think about that. All right, Dino Delano, and I'm going to put out another one on this because this is really important, and we're going to go into this in even more detail. Good being with you again. Thank you.